Hello. In this video, I'm going to show how to work out the quadratic formula. Now, before we do, the quadratic formula, I want to point out, is just another one of these tools we can use to solve quadratic equations. And I want to say that if you can use any of these other methods, do that first. The quadratic formula is like your last resort, brute force method. It will work, and that's what's great about it, is it works for any quadratic problem, hence the quadratic formula. It's just is a bit tedious, so if you can solve a problem in a simpler way, go for that first. I notice a lot of problems in your section 3 work you can solve with other methods, so I would recommend that. And then the quadratic formula is like last resort, nothing else is going to work. All right, ready for this? 11.3. Line up here. Quadratic formula. Here it is. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. This is why it might be more useful to try to factor or use a different method if you can avoid the quadratic formula. Sometimes that's the thing to do. Now, this is a lot of alphabet in one formula, so I want to define what these are. This comes from the standard form, y equals, I'll use different colors here, a x squared plus b x, what color am I on? Blue, plus c. That's what all of these letters are from. So when you have your standard form, you're just looking, whatever number is in front of your x squared piece, that's what you plug in for a. Whatever number is in front of your x piece is what you plug in for b. And whatever number, if you have one, is right here on the end with no x attached, that's what you plug in for c. Your problem does need to be in this standard form. So just a reminder that if you're not given a problem in standard form but you want to use the quadratic equation, just math it out, make it look like this. By either multiplying or moving pieces around, you can use all the tricks you already know. So this was standard form. All right, let's work out a problem. Oh, also, this comes up a lot, and there's some fun YouTube videos of different songs to memorize this. If we were in class, we'd be singing songs right now, but as it is, any way you prefer to memorize this formula, it does come up. It's pretty useful in a math class to just have that one under your belt. Let's do a problem. Let's do, here we go. Number 5 on your checkup. On number 5, you are given 4x squared plus 3x minus 1 equals 0. right off the bat, this is not an easy one to factor. We could use our magic X factoring trick on this. That could be a good method. It's also not terribly easy to do completing the square because our b value is odd, so it's hard to just divide by 2 and square to make our vertex form. So this really is a good candidate for the quadratic equation. I'm going to work it out on a fresh sheet of paper though. So we are going to need space. Here we go. That was 4x squared plus 3x minus 1 equals 0. First things first, we're just going to label A, B, and C. A is the number in front of x squared, B is the number in front of x, and C is the number by itself, our constant. C for constant. Notice that I keep the sign. So 4 was positive, 3 was positive, and this 1 is negative. Now, just write the formula again over here. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. And when I say all divided by 2a, everything on this side of the equation. Sometimes I see kids get a little too stretched out with their bar. Only this side. So we're told to solve for x. That means we want to get x by itself. This equation is useful because it already has x by itself. We just need to plug in those numbers and work it out. So let's do that. X equals, and I'm going to use parentheses here to show substitution. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. Again, I'm using parentheses to show that I'm plugging these numbers in, and I'm just taking these numbers, putting them right into the formula. A, B, and C. Now I just need to work it out, simplify this up a bit. So x equals, this becomes just negative 3 plus or minus the square root. 3 squared, I can go ahead and simplify that, is 9 minus 4 times 4 times 4. So altogether I have, let's see, 16 times 4 is 40 plus 24 is 64. Oh, did I make a mistake? I did. That looks like a 4, but it's actually negative 1. Being hard to read my writing there. Negative 1. So let me try that again. I have negative 4 times 4 times negative 1, which becomes positive 16. I have an even number of negatives, so a positive result. And that's all divided by 2 times 4, 8. So all I did there is I went through and just did the first round of simplifying. Okay, there's still more to simplify though. Negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 plus 16, 25. There we go. All divided by 8. sometimes when you're working problems, this is where you have to stop. In this case, we know the square root of 25, the number times itself to get 25. Again, all I did there is I just simplified. I put together what I could. So the square root of 25 is 5. Negative 3 plus or minus 5. Notice that even though the square root sign is going away, I still have to have this plus minus sign because I have two answers. I have negative 3 plus 5 divided by 8 and negative 3 minus 5 divided by 8, which we're going to work out here. X equals negative 3 plus 5 over 8, and x equals negative 3 minus 5 divided by 8. So what happened here is I just did the square root. What happened here is I split the positive, negative versions. And we're almost there. All these lines of work that's really easy to make little errors with. This is why if you can factor, factoring is the way to go instead of the quadratic equation. But it is pretty useful for figuring out these more complex answers that just won't be factored. So first one, negative 3 plus 5, 2, and that we can simplify to 1/4. And this one, negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8. So this simplifies to just negative 1. There it is. All of that work. And we got our two answers. There it is. Oh, that got dark. Either way, I just wanted to say that I'm also taking pictures of all of my work and I'm going to post it to your student page in Hapara. So don't worry about keeping up and working as quickly as I'm going. All of this information will be available to you.